Demonology and Devil Lore, Volume 1. Part 1. Demonology. Chapter 3. Degradation. The degradation of deities, indicated in names, legends of their fall, incidental signs of the divine origin of demons and devils. The atmospheric conditions, having been prepared in the human mind for the production of demons, the particular shapes or names they would assume would be determined by a variety of circumstances, ethnical, climatic, political, or even accidental. They would, indeed, be rarely accidental, but Professor Max Müller, in his notes to the Rig Veda, has called attention to a remarkable instance in which the formation of an imposing mythological figure of this kind had its name determined by what, in all probability, was an accident. There appears in the earliest Vedic hymns the name of Aditi as the holy mother of many gods, and thus there is mentioned the female named Diti. But there is reason to believe that Diti is a mere reflex of Aditi, the A being dropped originally by a reciter's license. The later reciters, however, regarding every letter in so sacred a book, or even the omission of a letter, as of eternal significance. Deity, this decapitated Aditi, was evolved into a separate and powerful being, and every niche of benevolence being occupied by its god or goddess, the new form was at once relegated to the newly defined realm of evil, where she remained as the mother of the enemies of the gods, the daityas. Unhappily, this accident followed the ancient tendency by which the furies and vices have, with scandalous consistency, been described in the feminine gender. The close resemblance between these two names of Hindu mythology, severely representing the best and the worst, may be thus accidental, and only serve to show how the demon-forming tendency, after it began, was able to press even the most trivial incidents into its service. But generally, the names of demons, and for whole races of demons, report far more than this, and in no inquiry more than that before us is it necessary to remember that names are things. The philological facts supply a remarkable confirmation of the statements already made as to the original identity of demon and deity. The word demon itself, as we have said, originally bore a good instead of an evil meaning. The Sanskrit deva, the shining one, Zed deva, correspond with the Greek, Latin des, Anglo-Saxon tui, and remain in deity, deus. Probably it exists in Amorican, theos, a phantom, devil, the gypsy name for God, and Persian, div, demon. The demon of Socrates represents the personification of a being still good, but no doubt on the path of decline from pure divinity. Plato declares that good men, when they die, become demons, and he says demons are reporters and carriers between gods and men. Our familiar word, boogie, a sort of nickname for an evil spirit, comes from the Slavonic word for god, bog, appearing here in the West as boogie, Welsh beag, a goblin. This word bog began probably as a baga of cuneiform inscriptions, a name of the supreme being, or possibly the Hindu Bhaga, Lord of Life. In the Bishop's Bible, the passage occurs, "Thou shalt not be afraid of any bugs by night." The word has been altered to terror. When we come to the particular names of demons, we find many of them bearing traces of these splendors from which they have declined. Siva, the Hindu god of destruction, has a meaning auspicious, derived from siv, thrive, thus related ideally to Plato, wealth, and indeed, in later ages, appears to have gained the greatest elevation. In a story of the Persian poem Masnavi, Ahriman is mentioned with Bahman as a fire fiend, of which class are the Magian demons and the jinns generally, which the sanctity of fire being considered is an evidence of their high origin. Avicenna says that the genii are ethereal animals. Lucifer, the fire-bearing, is the fallen angel of the morning star. Loki, the nearest to an evil power of the Scandinavian personifications, is the German Licht, or light. Azazel, a word inaccurately rendered scapegoat in the Bible, appears to have been originally a deity of the Israelites, were originally required to offer up one goat to Jehovah and another to Azazel, a name which appears to signify the strength of God. Gesenius and Ewald regard Azazel as a demon belonging to the pre-Mosaic religion, but it can hardly be doubted that the four archdemons mentioned by the rabbins, Samael, Azazel, Azael, and Mechathiel, are personifications of the elements of energies of the deity. Samael would appear to mean the left hand of God, Azazel, his strength, Asael, his reproductive force, and Mechathiel, his retributive power, but the origin of these names is doubtful. Although Azazel is now one of the Muslim names for a devil, it would appear to be nearly related to Al-Uzza of the Quran, one of the goddesses of whom the significant tradition exists, that once when Muhammad had read from the surah called the Star, the question, "What think thee of Alat, Al-Uzza, and Mana, that other third goddess?" He himself added, "These are the most high and beauteous damsels, whose intercession is to be hoped for," the response being afterward attributed to a suggestion of Satan. Belial is merely a word for godlessness. It has become personified through the misunderstanding of the phrase in the Old Testament by the translators of the Septuagint, and thus passed into Christian use, as in 2 Corinthians 6:15, "What concord hath Christ with Belial?" The word is not used as a proper name in the Old Testament, and the late creation of a demon out of it may be set down to accident. Even where the names of demons and devils bear no such traces of their degradation from the state of deities, there are apt to be characteristics attributed to them or misconnected with them, which point in the direction indicated. Such is the case with Satan, of whom much must be said hereafter, whose Hebrew name signifies the adversary, but who in the book of Job appears among the sons of God. The name given to the devil in the Korean, Iblis, is almost certainly Diablos, Arabisiacid, and while this Greek word is found in Pindar, meaning a slander, the fables in the Korean concerning Iblis describe him as a fallen angel of the highest rank. One of the most striking indications of the fall of demons from heaven is the widespread belief that they are lame. Mr. Taylor has pointed out the curious persistence of this idea in various ethical lines of development. Hephaestus has lamed by his fall when hurled by Zeus from Olympus, and it is not a little singular that in the English travesty of limping Vulcan, represented in Wayland the Smith, there should appear the suggestion remarked by Mr. Cox of the name Vala, coverer, one of the designations of the dragon destroyed by Indra. In Sir Walter Scott's romance, says Mr. Cox, Wayland is a mere impostor who avails himself of a popular superstition to keep up an air of mystery about himself and his work. But the character to which he makes pretense belongs to the genuine Teutonic legend. The Persian demon Ashma, the Asmodeus of the book of Tobit, appears with the same characteristic of lameness in the Diabol Poetex of Le Sage. The Christian devil's clubbed or cloved foot is notorious. Even the horns popularly attributed to the devil may possibly have originated with the aureole, which indicates the glory of his first estate. Satan is depicted in various relics of early art wearing the aureole, as in a miniature of the 10th century from Bible number 6, Bibroi, given by M. Didron. The same author has shown that Pan and the satyrs, who had so much to do with the shaping of our horned and hoofed devil, originally got their horns from the same high source as Moses in the old Bibles, and in the great statue of him at Rome by Michelangelo. It is through this mythologic history that the most powerful demons have been associated in the popular imagination with stars, planets, Ketu in India, Saturn and Mercury, the infortunes, comets, and other celestial phenomena. The examples of this are so numerous that it is impossible to deal with them here, where I can only hope to offer a few illustrations of the principles affirmed, and in this case it is of less importance for the English reader because of the interesting volume in which the subject has been specifically dealt with. Incidentally, too, the astrological demons and devils must recur from time to time in the process of our inquiry, but it will probably be within the knowledge of some of my readers that the dread of comets and of meteor showers yet lingers in many parts of Christendom, and that fear of unlucky stars has not passed away with astrologers. There is a Scottish legend told by Hugh Miller of an avenging meteorologic demon. A shipmaster who had moored his vessel near Montreal's Den amused himself by watching the lights of the scattered farmhouses. After all the rest had gone out, one light lingered for some time. When the light too had disappeared, the shipmaster beheld a large meteor, which, with a hissing noise, moved towards the cottage. A dog howled, an owl whooped, but when the fireball had almost reached the roof, a cock crew from within the cottage, and the meteor rose again. Thrice this was repeated, the meteor at the third cock crow ascending among the stars. On the following day the shipmaster went on shore, purchased the cock, and took it away with him. Returned from his voyage, he looked for the cottage and found nothing but a few blackened stones. Nearly 60 years ago, a human skeleton was found near the spot, doubled up as if the body had been huddled into a hole. This revived the legend, and probably added some of these traits, which make it a true bit of mosaic in the mythology of Astraea. The fabled fall of Lucifer really signifies a process similar to that which has been noticed in the case of Saranu. The morning star, like the morning light, a revealer of the deeds of darkness, becomes an avenger, and by evolution an instigator of the evil it originally disclosed and punished. It may be remarked also that though we have inherited the phrase demons of darkness, it was an ancient rabbinical belief that the demons went abroad in darkness, not only because it facilitated their attacks on man, but because, being of illuminous forms, they could recognize each other better with a background of darkness.